Today we're going to talk about New Year's Eve in Las Vegas, which was a great time had by all, including some of the emergency management personnel who got through it without any problems at all. How about if we dispense with the welcome around the country? We've got 23 people on the phone and a few others on directly on WebEx, so since I couldn't get it started on time. And let's move right in. What we're going to do is take a look at an overview of New Year's Eve in Las Vegas. And Carolyn Levering is joining us today, the emergency manager for the city of Las Vegas. And then we'll go through some screen captures from that evening to show you the sharing that was taking place, and focus a little bit on marginally technical look at the deployment. Richard Wells sent me an email just a little while ago saying he's been called away, so I'll give you that deployment. And then the private sector integration. Target used the SABRE program that we've talked about here and was providing information on their status just as an experiment in integrating SABRE in with Las Vegas. And John may or may not show up. He sent me a note saying if you've seen the news today, you'll understand why we are currently operational. So it was something going on with Target. And then we'll talk. So for now, let me turn it over to Carolyn and welcome you and thank you very much to talk about everything that you did for Las Vegas.
Thank you, Jim. New Year's Eve is a big party in Las Vegas. For a town known for our parties day in, day out, any time of year, New Year's Eve is definitely the culmination of events for us. Because we're fortunate enough to not experience a lot of significant natural hazards in our community, we, from the public safety perspective, take New Year's Eve as a tremendous opportunity for planning and training and exercising for what could be a real-world incident in our community. As you've got up on the screen here, it looks a little cut off from my view, by the way, Jim. Like the lower right-hand corner seems to be cut off a little bit. But those screenshots that we're viewing here include screenshots from the WebEOC tool our community uses, as well as reporting tools from the Los Metropolitan Police, the fire department, and then there's a couple of screenshots there from SpotOnResponse. This was our first use of SpotOnResponse for New Year's Eve activities. I think it went really well. We had a few lessons learned, but I see some value in the tool for us moving into the future. I think everybody who works in an emergency operations center or in emergency management in general is always trying to find a better way to manage incident information in such a way that we can capture a situational awareness at any given point in time. Some of these tools can help us do that. A lot of it's just going to depend on what it is you want to capture, filtering out the noise, and focusing in on the issues that are of most primary concern. Jim, I don't know if you wanted to move on to the next slide.
Sure. There we go.
Yeah. So on this screen, what you can see here is the interaction between all of these sources of data. Obviously, from fire department, those for our community, the city of Las Vegas manages the fire alarm office for Clark County, for the city of Las Vegas, and North Las Vegas. And we actually put out information regarding call-outs, fire and medical response calls. Metro, the screen, that's a little tough to see there, it's small, also logs incidents for public consumption. And then XchangeCore was able then to assist with integrating those materials coming from those feeds into WebEOC. And so we were able to view those minor incidents that were occurring around the valley and on the Strip and in the downtown area in there, and translate that into areas on a map. So it helped us identify clusters of activities, whether they're vehicle accidents, medical call-outs, fires, etc. We're able to put those on a map and see if we have any particular hotspots of concern. And there was some nice kind of back and forth there where we could then exchange information back. For example, in the area command center for New Year's Eve, we were maintaining all of the road closure information. Road closure data is very valuable and important information, not just for our responders, but for the public as well, because it takes a lot of management to shut off all of the areas of ingress and egress to Las Vegas Boulevard, to all vehicular traffic, so that pedestrians can take over the streets and fill the streets. And the reason why we need to do that is we brought in approximately 340,000 visitors to the Strip and downtown area for New Year's Eve celebration. So the sidewalks just don't hold them all. We need the streets, and we typically plan for street closures beginning as early as 6 o'clock in the evening, and all of that has to be coordinated and choreographed because there are a number of exits from the freeway to the Strip that have to be shown, as well as surface streets, and including ensuring access for our responders that are staged in various locations up and down the Strip and Fremont Street. So SpotOn was pretty cool for us at the area command because we were able to see various things that were going on. Obviously, this was a pilot attempt for us. I thought it was pretty cool to be able to see all of the Target store locations and to be able to check in with them and see if there's anything going on in those areas. So I think Target participating with us on this, it was pretty cool. I was able to check in from my location at the area command. You can see pinpointed there to the center of the screen, and you can see incidents that are occurring, whether it's a vehicle accident or a medical call, things like that going on. We had special planning issues this year for New Year's. Every year's slightly different. I mean, we try to take a base plan and improvise off of it each year with our new conditions. This year, the National Weather Service had forecasted snow on the Las Vegas Strip, potentially several days before New Year's Eve. Those projections scaled back slightly day by day as we got closer, and snow never did develop on the Strip. But a lot of our visitors, they would expect it in New York City at Times Square, but they wouldn't expect it in Las Vegas. So there was concern that we would have visitors not properly outfitted for the very cold temperatures. Even though we didn't have snow, we did have freezing temperatures, especially with a wind chill. Other special considerations in Las Vegas this year was the opening of the High Roller, which, for those of you not familiar with the High Roller in Las Vegas, that's the equivalent of the London Eye, the really, really, really big Ferris wheel. That's a pretty high-profile feature on the Strip now, and so we had to be prepared to coordinate response activities given this new environment interjected onto the Strip for us. We were also looking at recent threats from the terror community that didn't necessarily specify Las Vegas, but were pretty overt about soft targets and and casinos even as potential targets. Las Vegas has been very sensitive to the threats in our community from international terrorism, and so those recent publications that target those types of opportunities were, of course, concern to us again this year. We also had a lot of big-name talent everywhere, up and down the Strip. Bruno Mars, Jennifer Lopez, Maroon 5, Lady Gaga, Iggy Azalea. Yeah, on Fremont Street alone, we had 13 tribute bands performing over the course of the night. Fireworks set off at 7 different properties off their rooftops at the rate of 160 fireworks per second. So obviously, we have a lot of multi-agency coordination and multi-jurisdictional coordination between the Strip and downtown. You've got City of Las Vegas and Clark County, unincorporated Clark County. Of course, the private sector is the major player here with as the owners of these properties, and so it's police and fire and medical, public health, all playing together to be prepared. And of course, public works was massively important, not just for road closures, but for debris management after the fact. It's not very long after the fireworks go off that the street sweepers begin to clean up and push people off the streets and back into the hotels so that we can reopen the roads. So a lot of effort goes into that, and we track all that on WebEOC, and being able to import the fire and police dispatch data into WebEOC without having to do it manually really eases our workload at the area command and in the EOC. What's their... I don't know if people can even read the screens there, Jim, the wording, but it gives you just a visual heads up of what that looks like there. And you want to move on to that next slide there, Jim? There you go. So this was pretty cool because from the area command, I could have the WebEOC on my laptop and monitor all of the inputs that players are doing from the individual command posts or from other EOCs, and I could actually enter data onto the WebEOC board from SpotOnResponse. So I had SpotOnResponse on my iPad, WebEOC on my laptop, and I could enter data from the iPad and within moments watch it populate into WebEOC on the laptop. That was pretty cool to be able to do that and to know that all the people logged into WebEOC were getting that data. So that shows to me that if we had people out in the field making observations, that they could do it from the mobile device, and then everyone in the EOC and at command posts and area commands can also see that data pretty quickly.
Thank you, George.
All right, Jim, did you want to kind of take over from this point here?
Make sure I'm muted.
Thanks very much, Carolyn. I really appreciate that look into what was happening out there for those of us who were peering in from other parts of the country. What's up on the screen is just an illustration of what Carolyn's been talking about with multiple imagery there. You've got the WebEOC down in the bottom left-hand corner, and all showing how, as she was mentioning, from area command to everybody who's touching WebEOC and other applications, that vehicle fire is able to be visualized and interacted with in the WebEOC down in the bottom left-hand corner, Google Earth up in the upper right-hand corner. The right-hand side are the two different views on SpotOnResponse, and then in the bottom in the middle is ArcGIS Online, which Richard Wells is the GIS manager for Las Vegas, and he would have talked a little bit, and he's just starting to work in with the ArcGIS Online and has been one of our players, as you may recall in some of the earlier webinars that we've done on the ArcGIS Online adapter. So all those pieces available in Las Vegas as part of this implementation. And just to give you a little bit of an overview of what was happening, in the center was XchangeCore, and below that, and we'll take a look at this piece in a minute, was another XchangeCore, Sabre, that was bringing in the target information we talked about. In the upper right-hand corner, both Clark County and Las Vegas have different instances of WebEOC. So the way they were seeing the same thing was through XchangeCore. There was an XchangeCore incidents board that both of them had that actually Dan Starr in Clark County has made some very nice improvements to, and we'll be releasing, it's part of the open source repository, we'll be releasing some of the good improvements that he made to that board as a result of working with it here. Application over on the left-hand side in the SpotOnResponse that you've heard about, that was both available as the mobile app and also providing situational awareness maps for everybody with a number of couple of different users that were there, and you heard from Carolyn today. So that was what the stand-up for New Year's Eve was, and as we'll see in a minute, it's there now. It's permanently available, and after we finish up here, if the stupid WebEx doesn't strobe too much, you'll at least be able to get a flavor for that deployment. So, John Mueller, let me see whether you might be on the phone right now. Nope. All right, then I'll take John's role. As I mentioned earlier, for those of you who have just joined us, John Mueller is with Target in the Global Crisis Operations Center, and he sent me a note just a little while ago saying they are in the middle of one, and we can learn about that later on the news perhaps, but there is something that Target is having to deal with in some way or another. But he was providing just for practice and to be able to expose Las Vegas to the information that becomes available through Sabre, the Single Automated Business Exchange for Reporting. Sabre is a group that was stood up by the private sector to minimize their effort in providing more consistent data about business disruptions to the public sector, because for those of you who were on our Sabre calls earlier when we talked about this, a typical organization like Target may get a request for upwards of 100 different organizations saying, tell me about your outages in a big disaster. And that's a burden on them when they're trying to get the stores open to help people. So Sabre is a single place, and if you go to the sabrespace.org website, you'll see the dozen or so organizations that are providers and consumers of this information. Built around XchangeCore, and if I just talk you through this, then I'll give you a couple of quick screenshots of what Sabre was doing on those different applications. Number one, coming out of the Target Operations Center, which is visualized there, two different ways to get information, either fully automated fashion, and so far only Walmart is providing a consistent every 5-minute update of store closures. That comes into XchangeCore and is available all the time through the Sabre organization. The other number one, going vertically there, most of these organizations, even as big as they are, since this is a very episodic requirement to share this information, simply provide a spreadsheet. Some of them dump them out of their incident management software, and others are actually just maintaining the spreadsheet. And what the XchangeCore team has done in support of Sabre is to create a method that allows one to take that spreadsheet coming out of Target in this case. Number two, it gets uploaded to the Sabrespace website or simply emailed into some of the Sabre team. But we're eliminating that human intervention here by having them uploaded to the Sabrespace website. Number three shows the automatic link into XchangeCore when something arrives, and there, after it is available and transmitted and transformed into the NEAM-compliant standard incident document format inside of XchangeCore, and thus becomes available to all the organizations on the right. In this case, it was Las Vegas operations, that allow you to either just visualize it on a Google Earth or on a ArcGIS Online, or interact with it in a WebEOC or in the SpotOnResponse and other applications. So that's what Target was doing. They delivered information about their store status, showed up here, and actually there's John Mueller. He was actually using this SpotOn application. He was using it to see what was happening in Las Vegas, which is the other benefit. The company can see the response that's taking place in a location, and allow them to be able to know some of the local government situational awareness, because in that XchangeCore is going to be more information than they've put in. Always the key to success is to get more than you give. Another view of the target disruption data here, it is in upper right-hand corner, is in ArcGIS Online, sharing the same information as WebEOC on the bottom left-hand corner. So common view, no matter whether you're using a geospatial or a non-geospatial application. And I think there's one more. Yeah, this is the Google Earth and the SpotOn showing the same things here. You got each of these popping up and showing the specific status and illustrating the kind of information the target was providing. The store status, whether they were on power or needed power activities, whether there's any facility damage, and then this specific address information. So some status information there that may become immediately available because the target store may be open but on generator power, which provides a little bit more insight for government in helping to respond. And that was New Year's Eve in Las Vegas. Questions on anything that I can answer, or particularly to Carolyn on the operation?
Yeah, Jim, Dan Anderson, Hennepin County Emergency Management.
Hey, Dan, how you doing?
Good. I want to talk about the Sabre software Target uses. How do you get that information?
Sabrespace.org. You can go in there, register to become a recipient of that information, and we'll give you the little guide to putting it into either your Google Earth or bring it into your WebEOC. Would be one possibility as well. So, yep, sabrespace.org. There's a little sign-up form in the upper right-hand corner, if I recall.
And you said Walmart also delivers a similar service?
Yes, Walmart goes through Sabre. They are doing it on a continuous basis.
Okay.
Sabre does it when they or Target, Walgreens, Costco. Yeah, there were a couple of others that are the early providers of this. And early in February, we're going to be doing another launch campaign to support Sabre to get some more companies in there. On the recipient side, the state of Florida, California, Rhode Island was set up with it. Illinois also, actually in the national level exercise last summer, was taking information off of Sabre and putting it into their virtual operations center tool. So something that's on the early stages, and something that for all of you, if you got somebody or company that you want to get information from in an emergency, let's put them in touch with Sabre and start letting them make their one pass through rather than having to respond to multiple government agency requests.
I have a question.
Yes, please.
This is Laura Fucci in the city of Henderson, and this question's for Carolyn. Is she still
Laura.
available? Hi, Carolyn. I'm excited to see that you are doing this. We're just starting to look at it for other purposes, so it's nice to have somebody here that's using this. I just want to clarify, did you get data through the XchangeCore and make it available on WebEOC?
Yeah, so what we did, Jim referenced Dan Starr over at the county, of course,
right.
Having made some improvements there. we've been working with XchangeCore since before it was XchangeCore to take a look to see how we can take all of these disparate data sources and filter them into data usable to us in WebEOC. So we actually created a board on WebEOC specific to data that XchangeCore was processing for us from the data sources that we have in the system currently. So those were populating onto WebEOC on their own through XchangeCore, and then utilizing SpotOnResponse, I was able to manually add additional observations and incident information as it became available to me.
And did that go back into the XchangeCore for others or not?
Well, it went into WebEOC. The technical process of XchangeCore, Jim could explain better than I can. Okay.
So everybody who, because we're all looking at the WebEOC on New Year's Eve, right?
Yes.
And so that view of the XchangeCore data was available to all of us, right?
Yes, if you opened up the board that was specific to XchangeCore, it wasn't populating on significant events, which that's what most people kept open all night. But if you opened up the board specific to XchangeCore, anything that I added was populated in that board.
Okay. Yeah. Well, thank you.
And Laura,
I just wanted to make sure I understood that. Yeah.
Laura, just to expand on that, anything that gets connected to XchangeCore, if it does a two-way exchange, like Carolyn was describing on adding things in SpotOnResponse, they get to WebEOC through XchangeCore. Once they sit on XchangeCore, if you have permission to see them, your application has permission to see them, you're going to see everything that is being entered on XchangeCore, which is how that ArcGIS was seeing everything that was done on the WebEOC side and on the SpotOnResponse side, and it actually could create incidents if it wanted to. The second point is, Carolyn mentioned the XchangeCore incident board and your significant events. We do have tools that put XchangeCore data directly into either the position log or the significant events board, and about, I'm going to say, a half a dozen other WebEOC boards. Once it's in XchangeCore, it can go any place that you want to stick it inside of WebEOC or other applications.
Okay.
Yeah, Laura, you could probably actually log back into the incident on WebEOC and open up that board and take a look. Probably what I put in there during the course of the evening is in there.
Okay. Thank you.
And actually, that's where we were going to go right now. I'm going to take a chance on sharing my entire desktop and see how bizarre that ends up looking on WebEOC or on WebEx right now. But this is, in fact, live, Las Vegas. We've got, let's start with the WebEOC since we were just talking about it. This is time is set on where the XchangeCore server is. So this is 5 o'clock minus, Greenwich Mean Time or something like that. So time is something we discovered in this exercise. Doesn't translate well, so we're taking a look at that. But these are things that occurred within the last few minutes. This one 6 minutes ago. So these are things that are unfolding in Las Vegas right now that you're seeing come from the medical aid and other public assistance things. Those are coming from the Clark County Alarm Office. The LVV happened to be a code that Metro Police uses, and those are indicated right there. I can hit any one of these and look at the detail on them. And this is something that has arrived and been closed, but there was a, medical level C. If we come over here to this, let's see whether we got any. Here's one that's at least claims to still be open, and it was an traffic accident down on Sunset Boulevard. So those two pieces, the Alarm Office, Fire and Emergency Medical Dispatch, and the traffic information now shared into XchangeCore, which had not happened before. Same things over here in the Las Vegas emergency management. We put this together, and this is what Richard has been working on. There's medical level C things happening out there, and we got some other guys over here. There's that traffic incident over here on Sahara Avenue. All that simultaneously available. Here's the SpotOnResponse tool, and it's got same things again. In addition to being able to, if anybody else is logged in, here's somebody who's logged in. You can see individuals' locations and the little ambulance things. There's the medical response, and the little police guys become that Sahara Avenue accident again. So all those things currently operational, sharing through XchangeCore, and being able to push into all of these different applications. So with that said, let's see whether we got any more questions.
Hey, Jim, this is Dan Murray from Mercer Engineering Research Center.
Hi, Dan.
Hi. Yeah, so a quick question is the sharing of the SpotOnResponse mobile data or mobile information via XchangeCore with WebEOC, is that a new development in regards to XchangeCore, or is it just new to Las Vegas? How prevalent is that use right now?
Well, the XchangeCore to WebEOC has been around for quite a while. The SpotOnResponse app has only been around for about a year or so, and it was from that point on it's been doing that WebEOC and anything else, mobile sort of mobilization and vice versa. So new to Las Vegas. Proven, I think, if you go back and take a look at, in particular, some of the California Earthquake Clearinghouse operations over the last couple of years, you'll see some of that shown in some of those old videos.
Thank you.
Jim, this is Phil Balin in Walnut Creek, California. Carolyn, could you comment a bit on how you did outreach to the Law of the Fire and other agencies so that when the special event occurred, they knew this information was available and knew what to do with it? And what lessons learned
really
you had?
the thrust of the outreach I've been doing being access to the data. So I don't own the dispatch centers or anything like that. So I had to work pretty closely to get the buy-in from 3 different fire departments to allow me access to the fire alarm office data that's coming through. Metro Police, which is our combined police and sheriff's department, which covers most of the valley. There's a separate police force for Henderson and for North Las Vegas. We're still talking to them about how we can work with their dispatch data. They code things a lot differently than fire does, and gleaning the type of data that I don't want every domestic violence call, so gleaning just the things that I want from them is proving to be challenging. As far as outreach on making these tools available to them, this was our first opportunity to take it and use it in a real-world environment for us. So it was pretty limited access. I showed it to a few folks while I was at Area Command during the course of the evening to help, generate the interest and start the thought process on how this could be useful, not just in the command centers and EOCs, but also for maybe branch directors in the field, that sort of thing. But we still have a lot of work to do on that front.
What about the road closures? Was there an identified authoritative agency or person to shut or to change the symbol of a closed road from open to closed as the event went on?
Yeah, actually, what we did, the area command was set up in the downtown Las Vegas, but we had a strip command operating out of our southern division of the State Highway Patrol, and we also had a downtown command set up adjacent to the Fremont Street operations. So we had personnel from various jurisdictions at each of these locations. The strip command was probably the most heavily operational, and that's where Clark County Public Works and Highway Patrol staff and NDOT staff, because all of these jurisdictions cross each other, especially in the Strip area. They were all located there together, and that is where they were communicating with their field crews and with Metro Police on the Strip to when they started making their determinations for soft closures and then hard closures, and then again in reverse at the end of the evening.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions from anybody? Well, thank you very much, Carolyn. I really appreciate not only your presenting today, but your enthusiastic support for XchangeCore and pushing out all of, with all those other agencies to go through that process, which I know is not an easy one out there. And appreciate you participating today. Thanks a lot. And to everybody else, any final comments from anybody?
Hey, Jim, how long does it take you to get these briefing slides up and available for people to review?
They're usually available in the middle of next week, but I don't announce it until the next XchangeCore. So if you send me an XchangeCore communicator newsletter that goes out 2 weeks from now. So if you send me an email next week, I will send you a link to it.
Thank you.
Anything else? Great. Well, again, thank you very much, Carolyn. It's been great working with you, and everybody have a good couple of weeks.